Tonight, we are honoring the careers and contributions of 7 people who represent our industry at its best: an affordable housing advocate, 2 home builders, a developer, an architect, a cultural anthropologist, and a BIA executive officer, all united in their efforts to make a difference in their organizations, in our industry, and in the communities they serve. Each honoree represents a lifetime of achievement. Ladies and gentlemen, our tribute to the 2017 Hall of Fame honorees.
I think that the presentation you just saw caught the real essence of Lynn, with one exception. If she were here today, she would be looking over and saying about the women's group that you just started, "What took you so long?" Lynn was a contrarian, I think is the best word I can come up with. She went away to school. Her family expected her to be a liberal arts major, and she decided to be a Portuguese major. First one since 1905. They actually had to open a department for her. And in retribution, apparently they made her learn how to use an astrolabe, which I don't know what it is, but apparently it was intimidating. She graduated, she came back to Los Angeles, went to work for Citibank. At the time it was First Citibank, that's how far back it goes, in their international office. Not quite sure what her first job was, but it didn't take her very long to convince them that it wasn't good enough for her, and she became a loan officer and financial advisor to people who had, in those days, a lot of money, $1 million in the bank. Now, I always thought it was interesting that a Portuguese major was giving financial advice. However, she was quite good at it and became, again, contrarian. Gave the largest loan in the history of the bank to the largest agar manufacturer in the world in Spain, about $5 million of that type of loan. One day we had moved to Ventura, and she got involved with a former client of hers and was asked to help build housing. This is how she got in farm worker housing. The housing that she was talking about was in Santa Paula, and it was 1920s, I'm not sure what you call it. It was just there was no foundations, it was just houses on the dirt, and this is where the farm workers worked. And the owner kept saying, well, we're gonna get you good housing, and he didn't quite get around to it until they burned down his packing plant. So Lynn, with no background in building, took over the project and built 400 affordable housing units. First-time buyers for people who have been living in the county forever with nothing to say for themselves other than now they had a home that they owned and they could afford. One of the interesting thing was that the city required them to put trees in the front yard, and these were all lemon pickers. So the minute they moved in, because they couldn't stand trees, they tore them out. Ultimately, she started her own company to develop housing, which again, Lynn being contrarian, the first thing that Matthew and I did is went out and found a pink hard hat for her so that she could at least let everybody know that yes, she's tough, but she's still got the pink hat. She ultimately built somewhere between 400 plus houses in the Ventura County, Santa Barbara County area, and was selected by Governor Schwarzenegger, as I suspect you all know, to be the director of the State Department of Housing and Community Development. Her timing was unique because she was there when the crash occurred. She was, as I understand it, able to still fund approximately 100,000 houses during that period of time. She also, which I didn't know, funded the project between the courthouse downtown Los Angeles, where they extended the over all the way, the open area all the way over to the, yeah, whatever, the center. We were there one day, and she just said, oh, yeah, I financed that. You never knew with Lynn, because she was so demure and quiet. She did not come and say to you, this is what I've done, except when it came to the issues that were important to her. The proudest thing of her life, no matter all the things that she did in her life, the fact that she could build homes for first-time buyers who could never in their lifetimes afford a house. And she did it without government help, and she did it with independent financing, and she put these people in homes. And I think that was the finest thing she ever did. And I thank you very much for the award.
All right, the moment has arrived. All right, there you go. 4 minutes of me. Thank you for enduring that. We were going to make it 5 minutes, but then I would have had to have gotten into a couple of slip and falls in my career, and that's really not what the night's all about. But truly, they do exist. It's all not been perfect. And I think for me, and I think for most of you in the room, it's the moments when we slip and fall that we make our greatest learnings. And that's when we figure out how to get back up, figure out why we fall, and we move forward. That's what this career is about, is always moving forward. Okay, so I'm going to wrap this up. I've got a couple of thank yous, a little observation on life, and a little surprise. So the first... No, that's not it. I didn't tell him I was going to use the word surprise twice. It's the ending word that I need. Shoot. Okay, we got to get rolling. So a couple of thank yous. First one to CHF and all the staff. And Bill Hesmahalch, where are you in the audience? He was the gentleman with William Hesmahalch Architects that put my name in the hat. Somehow I got vetted through and I'm here. It's really an incredible honor to receive. It never was on my bucket list, and it's amazing to be in this group of people. I acknowledge all my other honorees tonight, all the honorees in the past. It's really an incredible list. And a second thank you goes to Rancho Mission Viejo, to Tony, Don, and Gilbert for their trust in me, for them allowing me to be in the leadership role I am. I'm quite privileged to be able to do what I do. But certainly to all my coworkers, many who are here tonight, it is really you guys who make the great music of community development and placemaking. I mean, you write the words, you write the melody, you simply allow me to stand up, wave my arms, and I get to be the conductor. I thank you for all of that. And then there are so many people in this room. You know who you are. There are so many that have mentored me, that have assisted me in my career. Your friendship has gotten me through the slip and falls and made me better at what I do. A thank you seems way too small for all of that assistance over the years. And then I want to take a little moment, an observation on life. And my team knows I like to do this. So, the wise words of Theodore Roosevelt are, and I quote, "We must all either wear out or rust out, every one of us. My choice is to wear out." So I have paraphrased that down to my own motto, it's better to wear out than rust. And the last and most important thank you goes to my family. My 3 daughters are here, Kelly, Cheryl, Stacy, ages. Just kidding, I'm not gonna tell them your age. Now that I have your attention, you folks, they're all over 21 and looking marvelous. But you have to know that girls, through a couple times during the year, I really do look up in the sky and I thank the good Lord that in raising you up, I didn't screw you up. We still have a lot of fun. We love to hang together. We'll be out partying tonight. You'll see the other side of us. But I really do, I thank you so much for the love you reflect back on me. It's tremendous. Thank you very much. And last but not least, Roylene, you are the family foundation. You're my rock of Gibraltar. And little did I know, 42 years ago, she drew 2 lines. They were wide enough for me to be independent, have a little fun, be a little crazy, but they were narrow enough to make me a lot more responsible, a much better friend, a better father, and a better husband. So, Roylene, I am forever indebted to your lines, your commitment, and your love. We've made many memories together. We have many more to go and many more days. And how do I know this? Here's the little surprise. Because... And you're still the one. You're still the one who can scratch my itch. You're still the one. I wouldn't switch. We're still having fun. And you're still the one.
I am the shortest person in this group tonight. So when I heard about the Hall of Fame, I ran home and I made a list of all the people who helped me get here. It's right here. It totaled 523 people, including Canadians like Norbert Jakubke. So if I don't say your name tonight, come see me afterwards. I got it. Special thanks also to the California Homebuilding Foundation, to Terry and Jill and Aaron, and to my great friends and their wonderful communities at Daybreak, Stapleton, the Great Park neighborhoods, the Pine Hills, Tri-Point, David Weekly Homes, Ciclavia, and the truly amazing city of Anaheim. To my parents, who are actually a whole lot more interesting than that Frank Lloyd Wright house. They raised me in an amazing city, Pasadena, and my mom gave me an incredible love of books, had to bring up a couple on stage, and my dad gave me a love of gardening. And a huge thanks to the guy who changed my life, Bill Probert, legendary sales and marketing guy. Thanks for being with me tonight. So let's start with a book called Inventing Desire. The author, Karen Stabiner, spent a year living at Chiat/Day. You know that ad agency that worked for Apple, and they did the campaign Think Different, and also Yo Quiero Taco Bell. So her thing was, how can you invent desire? Aren't we lucky? We don't have to invent desire for what we do. It lives in people's hearts. All we have to do is connect to the desire they feel for home. My career has been so much fun. And in the year where I'm this year turning 70 and being inducted into the Hall of Fame, it recalled something, not from Teddy Roosevelt, but Hunter Thompson. There's a few hippies in this room. Okay. Life should not be a journey to the grave with the intention of arriving safely in a pretty and well-preserved body, but rather to skid in broadside in a cloud of smoke, thoroughly used up, totally worn out, and loudly proclaiming, "Wow, what a ride!" So we're not quite done yet. We, all of us, have invested our best in this wonderful industry. And we have a market that's always going to be there, homes. There's a place for idealism in business. And part of the joy now is working with young leaders, teaching them everything we know and learning from them. Counting on Paige and Rachel and Jasmine and Martin, all to become better than we are, and cheering them on their way. So, we're going to finish with another book, Thunder at Twilight. This book illuminates 2 crucial years in the life of an extraordinary city, Vienna, 1913, 1914. And the author notes that this city had 2 amazing things in it that all great places have: 1 foot in memory and 1 foot in prophecy. Like this place, this gathering tonight. Here's to the future. Thanks.
Good evening. I'm pleased, honored, and humbled to be inducted in the California Homebuilders Hall of Fame. Thank you to those who nominated me and supported my nomination. I also want to thank the California Homebuilding Foundation's trustees and their truly outstanding executive director, Terry Brunson, for orchestrating this gala this evening in honor of the 2017 honorees. No one comes to the Hall of Fame without a large supporting cast. I can't express how grateful I am to have more than 50 members of this supporting cast here tonight. I exaggerated a bit. I said I was married to my wife for 52 years. Actually, it's been 51 years, 11 months, 17 days, 3 hours, and 34 minutes. She's at table 9, and she's a marvelous person. I'm so happy and proud of her. My daughter Tisha is here tonight, and what a beautiful person she is, a graduate of the law school at Pepperdine. She has her husband Chad's here, Sloan, my great, wonderful, handsome guy. And then there's Kensington, who was in the '07 soccer champs for the state of California. Ranked #1 in the United States. Being a part of the Fresno Madera BIA has been a satisfying adventure. The camaraderie that we've enjoyed and shared, at times have been a little competition going on. But by and large, it's been mostly friendly and industry-wide support. Mike Brandini, our president, is here tonight, along with 3 Hall of Famers, Leo Wilson and Bob and Karen McCaffrey. The video you just saw indicates some of the high-quality homes that we're building in Fresno, and by these very, very capable builders that are here tonight and the Hall of Famers. Just to give you a little perspective on my life, over the past 47 years of home building, I've had partners that assisted me in developing and building large-scale developments. These developments require large amounts of capital and many years of staying power. With the help of partners of 6 different financial institutions and most of the major players in the Central Valley, we've been able to really live a dream. Some of those beautiful people are dreamers of the day, certainly not daydreamers. Lawrence of Arabia said it this way: all men dream, but not equally. Those who dream by night in the rusty recesses of their minds wake in the day to find it was vanity. But the dreamers of the day, they're dangerous, where they act their dreams with open eyes to make it possible. If there ever was a partnership that was made in heaven, it is our present partnership at Copper River Ranch. And this is the results of 3 of my very close friends. Bill Lyles, Gerald Lyles, and Farah Dissimi. Dreamers of the day, they move out in the morning to close the gap between their vision and reality. It is our call as visionaries to habitually break through with outside perspective on the present. Bill, Gerald, and Farid, you guys are the best. Thank you for your friendship and leadership. Recently, someone asked why I had been building houses still at the age of 74. My response was twofold. First, I quoted Leo Wilson, who is still building past 80. He said, "The perfect house has never been built," and I'm still trying. Secondly, I quoted Eric Liddell, the star of Chariots of Fire, in response to his sister who asked why he was running in the 1924 Summer Olympics and not preparing to leave for China as a missionary that very year. He told his sister, "Jenny, God made me fast, and when I run, I feel his pleasure." How fast was he? He won the 400-meter race and enjoyed God's pleasure. So the answer is to why I am continuing to build. First, I'm also trying to build that perfect house. It's very elusive, isn't it? But we're giving our best efforts to make that possible. Secondly, when I'm building with the people I enjoy so much at GMH, I feel God's pleasure. Yes, it's been a grand run. It's been most gratifying because God has called me to this marvelous vocation, and I live it out with passion. May I close by saying to the GMH associates, I'll be back next Monday with my usual TGIM. Thank goodness it's Monday. And ask you to give your best to close the gap between our collective vision and reality. And remember, whatever you do, do with all your might to the glory of God. Thank you.
So when there's a speaking opportunity and a KGGY partner is requested, that's usually not me. We could sit through the must be 2 hours of the outtakes of that video and torture all of you further with that. But this has been such a wonderful journey. So it was late December, just before the holiday, and Dennis O'Brien, who's been our client since '92, called and said, "Hey, I'd like to come over and see you." And I thought that was kind of odd. Why it was so important, just right before Christmas, right? Trying to get things settled in, try to get the staff ready to go spend time with family. And we know all of our clients love to also say, "I sent it to you last year. Why aren't you further along on that?" So we're going through all that. So we finally find a date that works for both of us. And so I'm thinking to myself, what could be going on? We had been working with Dennis just for a mere 3 years on the 44 homes at Deer Hill. And I thought, well, maybe there's a kitchen idea that he's got that he wants to try out. I'll make sure I have some trace paper handy, and we'll do that. So anybody that knows me knows that I can totally overthink these things. So I had every possible idea going through my head of what we were going to talk about. I had no idea. When we went into the conference room, he shows up right at 2. We walk in, and he proceeds to tell me a story that brings me to this point here. I realized a couple days later, it was actually on Christmas Day, that I had never said yes, that I had not accepted this great honor to be selected from the Bay Area for the Hall of Fame. So I waited till a couple days after Christmas, and I emailed him and told him that obviously I would be honored. I couldn't think of anybody better than Dennis to have shared that news with me. I actually went back and found a note that he had written me in '95 when I had been offered partnership at KTGY, kind of the second generation of partners. And I think we have our third generation and maybe even our fourth sitting out at our tables here tonight. And he was always so supportive of what I was doing, and I just will always treasure our relationship that we have. And so, you guys. So the early years of KGY, I had a chance to work with two of the founding partners, Gary Gregson and John Tully. And unfortunately, Gary couldn't be here tonight, but John is, and I really appreciate that. So you can either, so I was gonna tell what I think is a funny story about Gary and traveling and how there was never one time that we were on time to the airport, and how he used to make me run through the airport in my skirt and my pumps and beg the flight attendant to hold the gate door open. So those stories can go on, but I really appreciate everything that they did, and something that John really instilled was that what we're here for is to coach, mentor, and support. And that's what he did. And you can either thank John or blame John, because he's the one that looked at me one day. I was splitting my time traveling to Las Vegas with John and traveling to the Bay Area with Gary. And John looked at me and said, "You know, I think the Bay Area is better for you." So that's what started that. So he's right over there if anybody wants to talk about that. So with that in mind of just what our mission, what our vision really is, to help people along, to support the community. Just in the fall of last year, the Oakland schools reached out to us. And it was really just to give a little support to an event that was coming up. And so our team got together and said, just what could we do? What could we do beyond that, right? It seems like we could do something more. And we've got 70 talented planners, architects, designers sitting here. And so that's what started our commitment to the Oakland schools. And we adopted Madison Upper, a 6th grade class. And our team has spent every other week going in for an hour or so and working with the class. And I think we've learned so much more probably than the kids have. And really what we look at is just how can we build on that? How could we make this better? How can we expand it? How can you touch more lives? And our team is so inspirational in that they have such a commitment to community. And that's what really makes our work fun. And so along that same line, somebody else that Gary and I met early on in our travels to the Bay Area, also a key leader at O'Brien Homes, was Cheryl O'Connor. And so these days when Cheryl calls, it might be to grab a cup of coffee, but most likely it's about some great new idea that Homemade is looking to do, and in some way that KTGY could play a role. And so we enjoy that time. And she also, you saw her letter up on the screen. I was able to put my hands on those 2 letters from '95 because, as my team knows, I keep everything. And from the sketches from 1st grade, it's obviously that my parents keep everything too. When I said, hey, could you go find a few drawings, they said, well, what year do you want? And do you want us to send all 30 of them? And I said, no, probably not. Yeah, I had, obviously I had a thing about windows when I was sketching in those early ages. And a lot of the clients believe that I still do. So it was fun, a lot of fun going back through all of that. The last 6 months have been quite busy, quite exciting. Every architect loves to be busy. And so what we didn't know is that we had been shopping for new office space in July of 16, and that miraculously we figured out that the whole office could move in Oakland just this past weekend. So we've had the fun of planning the move while thinking about this event and this wonderful event in PCBC. And so I can't think of any better way to spend the first half of this year. And I thank all of you and just love the work that we do together. And my Oakland team that's here and my partners that are here. And I can't think of a better journey that a little girl from Euclid, Ohio, that loved to sketch houses and play with blocks could end up doing. And we have a little saying on our team, I think it comes from one of our young staff, that says, okay, I've done one of those, what's next? And so I think the last 3 decades are one of those, and to scare my team, I'm wondering what the next 3 decades brings. So thank you very much.
I just have a couple, 3 areas. Thank yous, talk about some of my bosses, and then this honor. Leadership was actually the theme. Thank you to the entire California Housing Foundation Board of Directors. Special thanks to Terry for all the advice and kind of help along the way. Appreciate that. And Aaron, if you didn't get it, he did all the videos, and especially in my case, the editing is unbelievable. I mean, he parsed together like complete sentences out of multiple takes, so I'm not sure how he did that. My family that's here, thank you for attending, hanging in there. It's a long evening for you guys, I know. My wife, only 39 years. We got a 42 and 52. It's amazing. But we've raised a great family. My daughter Erin's here with her fiance Forrest, Corey, and my nephew Paul, the seat filler. I'd especially like to thank my mom, June. Hope you guys enjoyed the wine. Thanks, Mom, for all your support and being the head of such a great family. I've learned a lot from my fellow division presidents, not all of it good. But we've learned from each other, and at least 2 of them are here. I got notes, Cheddar, Don, oof. But Lane is here, Paul is here. I appreciate you guys supporting me. Thank you. And my team, my divisional team that's here, I'm not sure if we're making music. Are we making music? I don't know. We're trying, but we'll work on that. But we got an incredible team with a lot of talent, and I really appreciate you guys kind of putting up with me, and the commitment, dedication, everything you bring to it every day is unbelievable. So thank you. Okay, bosses or leaders. I did want to double back on a few of the leaders that made a difference for me. Video missed a couple of very important ones. First is Bert Selvin, my current boss. Bert, I don't know how you ended up on the cutting room floor. Yeah. I think Aaron, he must have been embarrassed of just this over-the-top frothing that I was doing. So here we go in person. But I do want to thank you for encouraging me to take on a leadership role, your coaching and support. I'll never be as good as you at relationships. First I thought he was just a name dropper. He is. But he knows all these people. And he don't even just know them, he's friends. They go to his house. And so I've never seen anybody anywhere close in terms of relationships. Really appreciate your leadership. Are we good now? Is that enough? You need? Okay. I need to kind of clean up here. Most important influence is my dad. He taught me how to work, how to get satisfaction from literally anything. And I did anything. Sweeping out the garage, boxing out houses, digging trenches with very square corners and flat bottoms just to see them get filled up. It was only 8 short summers before I worked my way up from all those tools to a pencil. But he taught me how to work, and couldn't appreciate it more. I'm blessed to work for an incredible family, the Shea family, the seniors, John, Peter, Edmund, who's no longer with us. They're just not only phenomenal businessmen, but they're just great, down-to-earth people. And yes, the next generation that is our senior management is just as astute and values-driven. So joining this group, I truly am, it's cliche, but I'm humbled and honored to be given this opportunity. I wanted to thank the BIA Southern California, Mike Balsamo for nominating me. Appreciate that. Not sure how it skirted through the directors, but and congratulations to my fellow inductees, a few of whom I know really well, Paul Johnson and Bora. Bora, I wanted to thank you for encouraging me to be involved in the BIA. Bora's very subtle in his approach, but that's why I'm here, my involvement in the BIA. I can't match up to all this home building that we've seen on all these videos. I'm really proud to be a part of the Shea legacy, though. Roy Humphreys, Bert, Lane, that are also in the hall, so it's cool to be a part of that group. And I'm really amazed, not only by this group we saw today, but the recent inductees, the past few years, especially the architects, who I have a lot of respect for. Bill Hesmahalch, Carl Lagoni, Mike Woodley, our own Howard Englander. Now these guys, they have talent, and they're little, creative geniuses. I sincerely hope I don't tarnish it for you guys. I don't blame you for thinking, they let Yoder in. Jeez. It's like, it kind of puts a little damper on it, but you'll get over it. Anyway, I'm in, so deal with it. So once again, thank you to Terry and the entire CHF board. Thank you.
Well, so much for alphabetic correctness. Y in front of W? Welcome to San Diego. Thank you so much. Terry, super event. We can do just like you. My grandpa Charles received a knighthood for his Red Cross relief work in the Italian-Ethiopian War of 1936. He was the bald guy in the video footage of Ethiopia's Emperor Haile Selassie when he was inspecting my grandfather's field hospital. Very important that you know that the Rastafarian movement views that emperor as the second coming of Jesus of Nazareth. Speaking of Jesus, my father Philip received the Bronze Cross for his crazy boat escape from Nazi-occupied Holland in 1944, and you saw that clip as well. I assure you that he invoked Christ's name during this brazen escape, and not so much in a prayerful way. So finally, a medal of my own. And for those of you not familiar, this is the Dutch flag. Okay. Thank you, Foundation, for being so thoughtful. Tonight, nowhere near the Horn of Africa or the North Sea, yours truly is recognized for running 2 BIAs. Or 3 maybe? Okay. For having a hand in helping our industry turn housing have-nots into housing haves. While BIA could mean Bora in action, this Hall of Fame honor goes to the 22 boards of directors that I pleasurably served, and it is also, of course, shared with countless volunteers, and foremost with the best BIA staff any CEO could wish for. I was going to mention your name. I'm going to skip that to gain 10 seconds. Thank you, CHF. Thank you, Don. Thank you, Uncle Sherm. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, San Diego BIA, BISC, CBI, industry leadership, friends and colleagues from Orange and Riverside County. I also have friends in San Diego. Thank you for being here tonight, and congratulations to my fellow inductees. And here's to you, Lynn. But foremost, where are you? Table 10. Thank you, Kay. Light of my life, my homing beacon, 34 young years of marriage. And especially for sharing this very special moment with the apples of our eyes, Emily, Sophie, and George, and Tom, our newest accomplishment, future son-in-law. Tonight, you're going to find out what does he do for a living. Now, to the uninitiated, the job of a BIA CEO appears to be a mixture between glad-handing, grandstanding, golfing, and garrulous gigs. Yes. But insiders know it's about grassroots gatherings, grilling government, growing and generating gateways from or to Gotham, all with grit, grins, grace, and of course, gravitas. You agree? Now, I've come a long way since I started in Riverside as a part-time EO, 80 members, $60,000 divided in 3 CDs. Yes, a very long way. In fact, since 1996, I've driven 600,000 miles to and from BIA, which equates to 23 times around the equator. Makes me the very profile of the commuting, greenhouse gas-spewing, low-density residential dweller environmentalists love to hate. I don't give a f***. During my daily 2.5-hour drive while in planet destruction mode, I hardly dwell on them. I think instead about the alarming growth rate of far too many Californians who really have no choice but to drive till they qualify for the roof over their head. And they have the commute from hell primarily because fellow Californians deny them what they already secured for themselves. So it surely is California's greatest shame and should be its biggest embarrassment that its building industry no longer can provide shelter at a cost most Californians can afford. There's nothing progressive about climate action. When California is young, it's old, and its workforce, the vast majority of its citizens realistically have no access to uber expensive climate action compliant housing. We were all set up to fail in meeting the demand for middle-class housing through many acts of careless regulatory indifference. The middle-income housing market used to be our bread and butter business. It's inconceivable that we should give up and consider this lost market condition as the new normal. We must stop negotiating the terms of surrender for our industry, which is how we mostly got to where we are today. So, let's use this evening to turn the page and to stand up for housing like never before. Give your local BIA and CBIA all the tools they need to execute the job they are so very well prepared to do. Compete on better product and pricing. Compete on better design and location. Don't compete over bad policies and politics. Always renew your membership and bring someone else to our critically important cause. Again, ladies and gentlemen, stand up for housing for all Californians. You have a great evening.
Now, let's have another round of applause for Boris Tuxedo. He has now set a new standard for men's clothing here tonight. And while we're kind of applauding, a big round of applause for our class of 2017, an amazing class. Remember that the Hall of Fame and PCBC will be in San Francisco next year. You wild people from San Diego, please come. We love the energy, we love the colors, this is all good stuff. I'll be looking for all of you then. Have a wonderful night.